Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello, faithful Squiz Kids listeners, and welcome to the Kids vs. Adults Weekly News Squiz. Your chance to see who's had their listening ears on and been paying the most attention to the week that just was. I'm Bryce Corbett. All week in the Squiz Kids Today podcast, we've been bringing you the big news stories of the day, run through our kid-friendly filter to make sure you know all you need to know about the world around you. Now, it's time to test how much of the week's news you've retained, and in the process, see who's smarter, kids or adults. Plus, of course, because it's a Friday, we've got all today's birthday shout-outs and all the shout-outs for the weekend coming, including the birthday reggae tune, because it wouldn't be a Friday without it. So, here's how the quiz works. 5 questions for kids about the weekend news, then 5 questions for adults. Whoever answers the most correct questions wins. Simples. You ready? Let's do this. All right, kids, here are your 5 questions. Question number 1. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has been in the United States this week visiting their president. What is the name of the US president? Is it A, Beau Biden, B, Joe Biden, or C, Joe Biden? Yeah, well done. If you said C, Joe Biden. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Question number 2. We heard in the podcast this week that a popular Japanese sport has changed the rules to allow shorter, thinner people to become professionals. What sport am I talking about? And I'll give you a hint. The competitors wear a piece of cloth that looks like a big old nappy called a mawashi. Yeah, well done if you said sumo wrestling. Question number 3. We also heard in the pod this week how the World Solar Challenge, a race of solar-powered cars built all around the world, was run between Darwin and Adelaide this week. What natural hazard affecting the amount of sunlight that was reaching the solar panels of the cars did the teams have to contend with? Now, have a think about this one. There have been lots of these natural hazards occurring all over Australia this week, threatening homes and lives and destroying bushland. Yeah, I'm talking about bushfires. Question number 4. We heard in the pod this week how archaeologists in Scotland discovered a tomb full of what? And I'll give you a hint. This week's Squiz Kids shortcut is all about these, and you see heaps of them around at Halloween. Yeah, of course, I'm talking about skeletons. Question number 5. Squizzy the Newshound jumped right to the front of yesterday's podcast because he was very excited about the national week we've just celebrated. Is it because this week was A, Bring Your Dog to School Week, B, Media Literacy Week, or C, Give Your Dog a Bone Week? Well, Squizzy wishes it was C, but it was in fact B, Media Literacy Week. How did you go, kids? How many did you get right out of 5? Do you reckon you're going to beat the adults? Yeah, I reckon so too. Adults, it's your turn next, straight after this short message. Attention all teachers and parents listening. Are you ready to take a walk through history and discover the big education moments that have shaped Australia? Then buckle up, because our friends at Squiz Today have just released their first episode of Season 2 of How Far We've Come, a 6-part podcast series made with the help of NGS Super. You'll be taken on a wild ride through the challenges and triumphs of Australia when it comes to education, the big issues today and what the future may hold. The first episode is on the birth of compulsory and free education in Australia. You can check it all out in the Squiz Today feed. All right, adults, now it's your turn. Fire up the grey matter. Here we go. Question number 1. This week we found out that scientists are reanimating dead spiders to act as claw grips for delicate objects. But why do dead spiders curl up? Is it A, because they're dehydrated, B, because they need hydraulic pressure to splay their legs, or C, to disguise themselves? Yeah, that's right, it's B. Don't you love my use of the word splay? That's my favourite word of the day. Question number 2. Which Hollywood superstar walked into a small Asian grocery store in the Western Australian city of Busselton this week? And I'll give you a hint. He's a, inverted commas, national treasure, and he's famous for playing himself. Yep, that's right. I'm talking about Nicolas Cage. Question number 3. The future is not looking sweet for one famous brand which was established in New South Wales way back in 1971. Which company, famous for its cheesecake, went into voluntary administration this week? It is, of course, Sara Lee. Question number 4. On the subject of iconic Aussie brands, which one celebrated its 100th anniversary this week? Yes, it was, of course, Vegemite. Question number 5. Finally, to bring it all full circle, an elbow goes to Washington question for you too, adults. What's the acronym for the Australian, American and British military alliance under which a bunch of nuclear subs are being built? Yeah, acronym, that's my other favourite word of the day. I am, of course, talking about AUKUS. AUKUS. How did you go, adults? How many did you get right? Did you beat the kids? Who won bragging rights this week? If you've missed any of these cool news stories throughout the week and you want to refresh your memory, all of this week's Squiz Kids episodes are available for a re-listen wherever you get your podcasts. Well, that's the end of the quiz, which means it's now time for...
Shout-outs.
It's Friday, October 27. Today, my friends, is World Teachers' Day here in Australia. Woohoo! So be sure to let your teachers today know how much you appreciate them. Sing it with me. For they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows, for they are jolly good fellows. And so say all of us. Hip hip hooray! It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today and over the coming weekend. And there's so many of them, I reckon we ought to crack out the old birthday reggae tune. Hit it! Happy birthday today to Jessie from Maitland, Indiana from Manupara, Cooper from Cobbitty, Spencer from Harrington, Hazel from Rosanna, Eliza May from Forestville, Nia from the Gold Coast, Hugh from Dingley Village, how good is that name, Teddy from Manly and Lily from Bassendean. And celebrating a birthday over the coming weekend are Leo from Rod Point, Gia from Mount Isa, Jude from Highland Park, Billy from Myrtlebank, Elle from Sydney, Josh from Yass, Georgia from Newrybar, Joshua from Wattle Grove, Alex from Lavington, Annabelle from Mount Gravatt, Holly from Goodna, James from Sydney, Victoria from Ipswich, Victor from Tempe, and Mabel, who's listening all the way over there in Singapore. Well, that's all we have time for. I hope you're enjoying these quizzes. Don't forget, there'll be a new one dropping first thing every Friday morning. And the best bit, they're absolutely free. Just as all our other excellent content is also free. We're talking a Squiz Kids Today news podcast on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, a Squiz Kids Shortcut or a Squiz the World every Tuesday, and for all the teachers out there, there's a Classroom Companion, our teacher-produced daily classroom activity sheets. Curriculum aligned and tied to the daily podcast twice a week, now on Mondays and Wednesdays. Genius. Check it all out at squizkids.com.au or simply subscribe to Squiz Kids in your favourite podcasting app and all this groovy content will magically appear. For now though, this is Bryce Corbett signing off and reminding you all to get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.